Well, hey, Gundamaniacs, we are back. Another week, another show, part two of our weekly Gundam stuff. Steven, we were on your show yesterday, creating your main character in Blender, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I was, it's always fun when we get to do a little bit of, like, project work in
Well,
the but the thing is, like, we were talking about other things, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
no, see, that's what's fun about it too, because I was even thinking like sometimes when we're doing this show and then I get near the end and it's like, okay, what's another topic to come up with? And it's like, well, usually when we're just doing stuff, we just come up with stuff. So I have to remember as soon as I forget a topic, I'll just start playing with an action figure. And I'd be like, hey, do you remember? No. But
we really just should start doing, like, build and chill streams where
yes,
we've got Gunpla on the desk, and
yeah,
it's like, if you're interested, you can watch the Gunpla, but really, we're just talking.
yeah, it's like hanging out with everybody. But the other cool thing, I think with what you're doing on your show was kind of just like again, like what am I trying to get at? I was getting to the AI thing because it's like you're kind of showing, hey, look, yeah, I like to use AI, but in Blender, this is how by hand we could do this. So it's like as you are navigating art tools and stuff, like people shouldn't discount like when you're using AI because you can show the balance pretty easily.
100%. And you know
Yeah.
what's interesting is after last night's stream, Patreon supporter Ultronimus pointed out that the way we sculpt in Blender is actually the same way that you would sculpt, like, if you were carving wood. And so
Oh,
isn't it
interesting.
interesting that, like, because the same thing that you do in Photoshop or when you're editing video, it's the same thing that you would be doing if you were doing those things analog, but
Just like
it's just a
typing.
digital yeah, just like typing. So isn't it interesting how we've digitized so many of these activities, but the process and, like, the iterative steps to get to the finished product, it's identical to if we were doing it with wood or on paint on canvas. Like, isn't that crazy?
It is, and hear me out on this. It might sound weird, but it reminds me of how I used to think playing guitar could be,
Yeah,
or if you were to draw, but it was as simple like, let's say you wanted to draw a Gundam and you could just, like, with your hands sort of just do the general shape, but consciously, just more of you're almost, like, making it happen, which is kind of what the AI generative tools are because you're just typing, and the reason I used guitar as an example because guitar when you're like strumming, it almost becomes this like fluid dance where you're then what comes out of that is so dynamic and but when you draw, it really has to be very specified how you're drawing. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I feel like how technology would progress past typing prompts would be somehow intentionally molding what you're doing. And I think it's like with 3D objects, with clay, with what you would do in Blender.
yeah.
Sorry, I keep going on this, but even Mark Zuckerberg and Gabe Newell have talked about people using more of like having some sort of
Tactile.
yeah,
Yeah.
and using that to be so, yeah.
There's actually a really, this great mecha artist on Instagram. I think his username is Benerator, Benerator.
Sounds very
He
familiar.
draws mechs, but he started doing this thing where he would go into a VR 3D model, like, generator. So he's, like, in VR with his hands 3D modeling things. And now
Oh,
he's even started 3D printing some of the things that he's 3D modeled in VR. So I think that you're spot on. Like, Zuck
okay.
and
VR.
Newell, like, they know
Huh.
that the future is being able to,
Almost
not
like you're
just type,
having
but,
full
like, yeah,
control in the
use your
way that
hands.
yeah,
Like, you and I are just doing these, like, weird gestures, and so
yeah.
for those of you guys that are listening, like, we just look
Yeah.
absolutely
Crab
ridiculous.
hands. We're the crab
Grab
people. Great joke from, the new Naked Gun movie where there was just some off the side conversation. We're like, "Crab people," and then the guy's like, "What are you guys talking about?" Anyway, um,
I
no, but
I finally did watch that movie, and it's
oh,
fantastic.
so you remember when they're in that room and then evil guys and then they're like, "They're mer people." He's like, "Well, no." Loved it. Okay. So anyway, so today's gonna be pretty interesting because as I was researching news of, if there was news, because a lot of times I'll just search, is there new news to talk about? They cast another actor for the live action Gundam movie, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. It's crazy stuff. But what's even crazier is, and I don't know about you, Steven, is when your pre-orders just all happen to arrive within the same few days. And it looks bad on my part. Wife is probably like, another box? Big bad toy store? Japanese stuff? And it's, yeah. So not only did I recently get the new SH Figure Arts Cyclops, which is just so cool.
Multiple necks. Too many necks.
Which at first it's like, why? But once you really get into it, it's like, okay. I mean, I guess, did they really need to? But it's to pull off his moves of beaming up, beaming
optic
down.
blast. Optic blast.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, optic blast. Here's another thing. So I think I might have showed this on your show. I got the Metal Robot Spirits new Gundam review soon. I was going to try to review it not today, this week, but I just didn't have time with work. But also the 40th anniversary, was that what it was? Or 2025 Machination? No, I'm confusing Castlevania. Anyway, this Robot Spirits, it's a Mark II Ver anime, but it has slightly different colors, real tight markings. Came with this awesome base, although I had to plug this in. It didn't come with that, but totally cool. I have the Gundam Military Generation Mirai and Slegger Law that got here recently. I'll be doing a review on those. And then here's another crazy one. Monkey from Wukong.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, it has cloth goods on it.
Nice.
And the tail is a bendy wire. Like,
That's
I mean, this
sweet.
is the only reason I got this is because InArt is a sort of a newer action figure brand. They came out with a Dark Knight figure that I got maybe middle of last year. I might have shown it, just one of the most detailed 6-inch figures ever. So I was like, well, I'm going to try this too, because I'm not a huge Wukong fan, but I appreciate the look.
Well, there's a lot of great things to say about that. First of all, I think so. The Batman figure, if I remember correctly, actually came with like 2 different capes, right? It came with one that was like sculptable wired, and then one that was fabric.
Yeah, and the different face plates or whatever, I forget. It like looked real.
But Wukong as a video game was like out of a smaller studio. It was kind of a newer production. It's a Souls-like, but it was unique when it came out. And so the idea that you have this new toy company that is producing products that for like a game that didn't have like a huge studio backing, like I think that's cool. And it's almost like an artifact. It's one of those things that's like, either that thing is going to be worth like $10 million someday, or no one's going to remember that game existed.
Right. And so and it's funny because I didn't beat the game. I enjoyed it, but it didn't keep me. Like, I got what the combat was and I just kind of moved on. But you're right that when I was like, wow, that's interesting that they made a high-end action figure of this, I should get it. Just more of celebrating the video games and the fact that they did that. Yeah, because you're right, smaller studio. They're actually making another game right now, and so they have a lot more pedigree, or because the game turned out really good, especially being it's like a Chinese studio. They're now a little more mainstream, being taken more seriously, especially when it's like that and not a mobile game. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I guess it's crazy with all these action figures that are coming out, like between this Gundam stuff and then like video game related. Like, that's what's funny about the Cyclops is it scratches so many things. This is from a badass video game, and it's the X-Men,
right. It's X-Men 97.
Well, specifically, this is modeled off of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Cyclops, which but yeah, looks like the 97 one, but it's so cool that's, and actually, do I have it available? Hold on. No, but it came with 2 cardboard pieces to make a giant optic blast. Then you have them stand next to it, the one that takes up the screen. So
right, yeah, the finisher move that.
Yeah. So it's
Which
it's like
isn't it interesting that even back then, like, even during the Marvel versus Capcom days, like, the Iron Man finisher was almost identical to the Cyclops,
right, and
because
I think
Iron Man
Cable.
would pull out the big, like,
Oh, yeah, it
the
was the
big
gun.
cannon.
Yeah, and the Cable had the same thing,
Yep.
I think, yeah. Um, you know what? I I've been meaning to show you guys something. So my ROG Ally, I got a Gundam skin for it,
Hey.
and it looks really good. So it was on sale, and it's a specific brand, so I really think it's official. I could be wrong because it is very premium. Not only was putting this on pretty easy, but then it feels and looks like it was just painted on. Even with the holes for the vents, and still has like the little thing on the back here, but I'm not the type of guy to get skins for things necessarily, but it's just I saw that and it was, Gundam, and I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot. And to be honest, I like it.
You know,
Um,
physical skins are a little bit different than cosmetic skins in, say,
oh,
like, Fortnite,
yeah,
you know? I think that there's you've got a physical product in your hands. You're not
you
just
do.
like
And it's sort of that accessory, and it's almost like something that lasts longer because if I'm playing my ROG Ally, I'm always, interacting with it.
but
But do you ever
ironically, the
get
skin on your ROG Ally is gonna last longer than a lot of the products that you buy to play on the ROG Ally.
Oh, yeah, good point. But do you put skins on any of your electronic devices?
No, I've never bought, like, a skin, however, I am guilty of buying several of, like, the special edition consoles that, like so, like, my PS4 is
Oh.
the Uncharted 4
Oh,
PS4.
sweet. Oh,
My Xbox 360 is the Halo 3
oh,
360
sweet.
with the green, yeah,
Yep.
which
Wow.
doesn't go with anything else, like, of all of the
No,
electronics I have, olive green doesn't match
right.
anything.
With that kinda bronze or gold bronze trim, yeah, that's on the hard disk drive. I had that, actually, I don't think I have it anymore, but I did have that Halo 3 Special Edition 360, and I sold it when I sold everything, but when I went to sell all my games, I didn't sell my original Xbox Halo Special Edition. It's the green one,
Yeah.
I believe, right? Yeah. So, although it's possible it, like, doesn't really work because from what I understand, those capacitors go up, but then you can change them, so it's something I'll just hold on, and then when I'm, like, a really old man, it's like, "I'm gonna repair my old Xbox." I don't know. Because 'cause I'm curious what retro gaming is gonna be like in 20 years in terms of, like, what is it gonna be completely forgotten? It's like sometimes I'll, listen to these interviews with older actors talking
Mhm.
about their influences, and it's actors I've never heard of, movies I've never heard of, and then once those actors pass, sometimes things get forgotten, and I wonder with video games,
Totally.
you know?
I mean, dude, I was listening to an interview with Macaulay Culkin, and they were talking about the scene in My Girl where he gets stung by bees and dies.
Oh, yeah.
And in the interview, he was like, "Oh, you would never do that these days." He was like, "They rubbed my fingers down with a scent that smelled like a queen bee." He was like, "They were real bees." He was like, "They covered me in thousands of bees." And they said, "Oh, once we say action, wave your hands in front of your face. It's gonna look great on the cameras. All the bees are gonna swarm around your face, but they're not gonna sting you. And then as soon as we yell cut, you dunk your hands in some soapy water and, like, that's it." Like,
That's crazy.
never again is an actor gonna expose themselves to bees. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I never heard that story. Did he actually get stung at all, or was it he was fine?
he only got stung once, and technically it wasn't that the bee stung him, it's that it where was there was a bee on his neck and it tickled him and he squashed his neck down kinda like this where he, like,
Oh,
he, like, reacted to it, and so the stinger went into his neck, and they actually
okay.
did 4 takes. And he, like, at one point, he'd accidentally rubbed his hands on his pants, which he wasn't supposed to do. They were like, "You keep your hands free, don't touch anything, because if you get that queen bee scent on anything." And so, like, there got to a point where, like, the bees were swarming around his legs, and he couldn't do anything about it because he had rubbed the queen bee juice, whatever, the royal jelly.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot. It
I love
you
that
know,
kind of movie trilogy trivia, though, like, that stuff
I do
is
too. And knowing, like, seeing him in recent interviews, um, like, it's good to see that he's chill and cool, because you always hear stories about, early on getting those sorts of roles and fame, and how it's easy to struggle later on. So that's
Definitely.
pretty cool. Um, yeah. Okay. So here's another thing I want to talk about that's not necessarily Gundam related, but I just have to talk about it. So Sony just had their state of play, and I think it's called State of Play. It's, it was an hour
Yeah.
of Sony showing games and stuff. They didn't have anything Gundam, so disappointing. They had some Metal Gear stuff though. Apparently, there's did you see that then? Or
I actually only caught it afterwards. Ultron posted
okay,
on Discord
okay,
about the Metal Gear. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. So apparently, four. I didn't see the details, but four is coming out, I guess. But I don't know if it's supposed to be a remake or just like a PlayStation Classic. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it would be it's just a PlayStation Classic, but
Okay.
like it would be the first time that it's ever been available off the
Outside.
PS3,
Yeah.
which is like,
Yeah. Which the other day, because I was buying some PS3 Gundam games on eBay because they're cheap. I was even the Metal Gear Solid 4 goes for like $18. I was like, oh, I might as well grab that too. But now it's going to be, modernized, which is cool. In a way, I don't know actually. I don't know to what details they're going to modernize it at all, unless because it was pretty amazing for its time, it might just still be, I don't.
honestly, the only thing that they could really improve on with that game is the fact that it was like 4 chapters, and each chapter there was like a 30-minute loading installation section. So
Oh,
yeah, it was crazy
there we go.
because and I love the whole thing behind it, because there's an animation that would play that was like Snake smoking a cigarette, and it would have like these tips that were like, "Hey, you've been playing the game for a long time. Why don't you go take a break? Walk outside. The game will be here when you're ready." Like blah blah blah. Like, please don't
Interesting.
smoke. Smoking is bad for your health. Snake is dying. Like
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I would like to get back to playing that. I remember when it first came out, I like played. Maybe I didn't. I think maybe it was a long intro movie I was watching, and then I just because I barely remember anything.
that game actually still holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for longest cutscene in a video game. I think it was 48 minutes.
Wow.
The
Uh,
the ending the ending cutscene is like 48 minutes long. Like you're just sitting there holding the controller like, this is Kojima, just like
that's cool. I gotta experience it. I gotta experience it. But then also there's like other updates too. I think there was like an update to the collection of the volume one or something where it kind of upgraded the graphics a bit. Does that sound
yeah, I
familiar?
see in chat, Ultronus brought up that there's Peace Walker as part of it, which
Oh,
Peace Walker was a great game, but it was on
PS,
mobile
yeah,
or,
PSP, right?
PSP to
Yeah,
PSP.
still a little limited. Yeah.
So, yeah, like, the graphics weren't all there, but that Peace Walker, like, if you like, Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, Peace
Oh,
Walker has, like, almost all the same mechanics, like capturing soldiers and adding them to your team and, like, base building and all that stuff.
oh,
That
that's
all
cool.
came from Peace Walker.
Yeah, it's so funny through the years. I'd always start a Metal Gear game and just never. Even recently, remember I've been playing 5, or it was like a year ago. That a little. I mean, I had fun. I can see myself going back. It's
I know,
just
I
been.
hard sold it to you.
Yeah, no, like it's this thing where like with Xenoblade recently, for example, it's like my mind is finally clicking to be like, let me enjoy this game as it's supposed to be. And I think I need to do that with Metal Gear. I think just sometime in as video games are transitioning to be cinematic, I was not interested in that. I didn't care for cutscenes. I wasn't there for a story. But some games would sprinkle it in just enough. Like Halo always did a really good job of balancing the story. I'm only playing the whole time, and they just quickly did like little story beats. But then I think some games just got like too involved, and so there's a difference between that and when you're playing a JRPG for the reason you'd be playing a JRPG.
Yeah.
And so let's say the story for me sometimes is not a big deal. I've realized that other aspect is really just exploring the world. I might not care that this dude here wants me to go find something there because so and so, but what does the shop and the town look like, and then when I go out to the area and then I find like that's what I realized I like that type of storytelling where it's the world building. And I think that comes from the Dark Souls games. Why I really got into those. Oh, which was so funny. So in the Souls games, you can set messages for people on the ground. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where it's like usually
Yeah.
you choose a couple things to say. And at work, someone in the chat was talking and he said, in short, blah, 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 blah. And then the guy followed up, was like, he must be a Souls fan but no one else would have known what he was saying. And I
Right.
just busted out laughing. Even though that's in short is from Elden Ring specifically. It's still the same. Like,
Yeah, it's the
love
same
that.
genre of
Yeah.
like the posting messages
Messages, yeah.
because ultimately it like Souls games do feel like a message board in that way where
Yeah.
it's like you leave behind these little crumbs for everybody to.
And that's another interesting point because I took that for granted, or not for granted. I think I didn't take it seriously when that was a thing because I was like, well, people are just leaving messages. Like, I kind of care, let me just experience the game. But I realized no, part of the game is deciphering that message.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, interesting. What then? And so, yeah, when I would play when I would play Dark Souls, Bloodborne, it wasn't until maybe Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring that I then was like, oh, I'll read the messages, see, and be like, oh, you can fall from or jump here. And I'd look and be like, are they tricking me? And if I don't see anyone that died, from you could see their ghost, then it's like,
Yeah.
okay. So it's a cool mechanic, I think. I think it's a good way to do multiplayer in a way, 'cause,
Definitely.
okay. So now I want to get into the cool topic. So
Like that wasn't cool. Come on.
like that wasn't cool. But again, this was such a surprise to me. Again, I'm looking up news before the Gundam Explained show starts, and here we go. Jason Clarke joins Legendary's live-action Gundam movie, eyeing Netflix move. So, and there's not really much to say, except they're just repeating everything that we see all the time in everything.
But these articles are all AI generated at this point.
Right, yeah, just pulling the info it needs to fill it out.
Sydney Sweeney has been attached to this film for the last 7 subsequent months. So then we were like,
yeah, like even who names themselves Matt Grobar? That's obviously an AI. No, but so here's what's interesting. It's been confirmed. Jason Clarke, Sydney Sweeney, Noah Centineo. I think I heard him say that in an interview. Centineo, and my mind at least goes to, okay, what's the cast? First, I was thinking Bright, just in terms of
age.
Yeah, exactly. If they really are aging up, like it seems like they might be doing, he seems like he would be a good fit for that. But at the same time, if we look at his filmography, which there's a couple things from it. One is I haven't seen most of these movies. But
you're missing out.
Right, because the point I'm getting at is these are movies that have compelling acting. Like even him as an actor, from the few things I've seen, he has this gravitas to him that even if you count Genesis, which is one of the movies I saw him in, you then got to think, okay, then who would they be using him for in Gundam? Because he has an English accent as well, which could be a way to represent Zeon in a way. Perhaps. What were your initial thoughts before I talk for 20 minutes straight?
I would echo that sentiment exactly. He is a phenomenal actor. If all you know him from is Terminator, then by all means, definitely go watch the Planet of the Apes film that he's in.
Right.
He's fantastic in that. There's a film that he's in with Shia LaBeouf and Tom Hardy, where they play three brothers that are.
I did see that. Holy crap.
He plays the middle brother because it's Tom Hardy's the oldest and Shia LaBeouf is the youngest. Phenomenal in that.
Because wasn't he the darker character?
Yeah, I mean, he was the one that was kind of like holding the family together because the oldest was Tom Hardy and he was like the impulsive, angry one. he was like the bruiser, like
Right.
Tom Hardy was the physical
Yeah.
presence. Shia LaBeouf was like
The
the kid that
younger
was getting into
kid,
trouble,
and
and
he
he
was the
was the
serious.
reasonable man
Yeah,
that was like
yeah,
in between trying to like balance the two brothers.
right.
So I mean, Jason Clarke. I'm mixing him up with like the London brothers, where it's like Jason London and Jeremy London.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good
Jason
old
Clarke
call.
is a phenomenal actor. And if you haven't seen his full body of work, like anything he's in is fantastic. And to your point, like
Yeah.
he does have an accent, but he can mask it very well.
Right.
It's not like
Which
certain actors who have a difficult
exactly.
time with that.
Because I didn't know he was English until I heard an interview with him. And so shout out to Ultronymous about the Echo. I didn't realize I had that. He helped me. Love it. Love it.
Always.
Um, but so that makes me really want to think. So if you're casting for a Gundam movie, and this is where we have to presume 0079, just for this, because it really does make sense. Yeah, Noah could be an Amuro, in Sydney could be a Sayla. That, like, the casting, even Noah's voice, like that all seems very coded in that. And while this does seem like he could be bright, I will say that when I see recent stuff of him, he does maybe appear maybe a little too mature for bright in appearance. And but they could again, they could mask it. They'd be like, no, he has what we need, so we'll just mask it. But then if he wasn't to play bright, what would be another important character to have the acting chops of this guy in 0079?
It
And
would have to be a villain.
right. And
'Cause you want your best actor to be the villain. Because let's face it, playing a hero is easy. Playing a villain, that's the real
but
meat of it. When you have, like, a Christopher Lee, somebody that's, like,
yes. Though, what is the real
sinister.
villain? Because if it's Char, do you think they would do that? Age up Char?
If they aged up Char that much, then they might even tweak, like, the relationship between him and Sayla, where maybe
Right.
they're more distant siblings because the age difference is too much, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's why it makes me think he would do good as a Bright, especially if the dynamic is Amuro Sayla, Amuro Bright, but then Bright Sayla because of Char. That's why that acting dynamic could work.
Or and this is dream scenario. Let me
Oh, okay.
Dream scenario is that they pull a Peter Jackson and they say, "Hey, we're gonna make one Gundam movie," but the Gundam movie is really just the first of a trilogy, the way that Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings. He
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to New Zealand and I'm gonna make one Lord of the Rings movie." He said, "Oops, I only made the first one and I need money for the second two." Can you imagine, if you will, a Gundam movie trilogy where the antagonist of the first film is Ramba Ral, played by Jason Clarke? The end of the movie, the Death Star destruction moment is Amuro defeating Ramba Ral, only to dovetail into Soldiers of Sorrow and
Because, yeah, isn't it right after
Encounters in
that,
Space.
it ends with Char at the bar, and he's
Right.
like, think yes, okay. I like where you're going, and in fact, Jim Kill X said the same thing in chat. So what you're saying makes so much sense, you guys. Like, the idea that it's like, hey, this is to really tell the story, it's gonna have to be 3 movies. But who's gonna be the main antagonist? With Char could be like, at the beginning, kind of a background. Yeah, that you when you said dream scenario, you nailed it. That was not an oversell. That was. But here's another idea, because I don't want to forget, even though we can, the 08 MS team rumor, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
if it's 08 MS team, at first I was like, well, then who would he be that would be substantial? And then I was like, wait a minute, Norris Packard. Holy,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would make sense. So but I just still don't buy Noah as Shiro, unless Hollywood or the world is ready to be like, yeah, we know that's supposed to be Japanese, but here's an Italian. I kind of don't care.
It's a Shiro. I don't know.
That was too good. But here's the thing, like, I want to say that if they announced that it's 08 MS team and Noah is Shiro, I would think that's cool. But I would be, I might be sad if like Japanese fans were like, why did you do that? This is a Japanese, like the whole thing with Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
But I don't know how much it really is a Japanese culture thing, outrage, or just a manufactured social media outrage. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a little of both ways. There's actually this great artist on Twitter, kind of I won't say all of their art is, not safe for work, but they do some not safe for work Gundam art, but mostly they do, like it's like pilot and mobile suit, like but they're these beautiful watercolor illustrations, and one of the things that they do that I find interesting is that they do is like is it race swapping? They race swap the Gundam characters so that they look more Asian. So, like, for
Mm,
instance, like, For Murasame looks less like a Caucasian character with blue hair and more like an Asian character with blue hair.
yeah.
And it's like, I I don't see why that would be a bad thing, like, you
Yeah.
know? But, there are certain characters in Gundam that obviously have multicultural, descendancy. They're not all strictly Asian characters, and that's
Right.
one of the things that, like, you kind of admire about anime is that anime's always been, as a medium,
Very
one of the most
diverse.
diverse casting,
Yeah.
um
Of characters. You
yeah,
know?
you've
Yeah.
always had, like, a diverse cast, and even in the original Gundam series, you can see down to the character designs, like, Mirai looks Japanese,
Right.
whereas
Yep.
Amuro doesn't.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is one of those things where if they can behind the scenes or like somehow work out that yes, Shiro can be played by Noah, I feel like they've nailed the looks or even the again, Jason Clarke as Norris Packard completely makes sense, especially if they're supposed to be, you know, scenes with um Sydney Sweeney, you
Yeah.
know, like because that's what you got to think right now. They're like, okay, these actors are going to be working together as maybe you never know,
Do
but
you think that he can pull off, like, the because if I were to cast Norris Packard, personally, I would go with, and I don't I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the actor's name, but the fellow from Game of Thrones that plays, Sir Jormont, AKA
uh,
Lord Friendzone.
I don't know. I never watched it.
Well, there's a character in Game of Thrones that is famous for crushing on the queen, Daenerys Targaryen, and,
Who wouldn't?
he earned the title of Lord Friendzone because obviously
Oh,
he's
he's never.
older, and so, obviously, I think that a guy like that, I Jason Clarke could easily pull that character off, like,
Okay,
the
yeah,
older guy that is attracted to the younger Gundam pilot, but obviously not in her league, so to speak.
yeah, yeah.
She she's just not that into you, so to speak. Um,
But
yeah.
it makes me wonder then, like, how far could we go? Could we go F-91? Would they do that? Would they jump straight into Char's counterattack? But I don't
That
think
would be
so.
one of the decisions.
That would be one of the decisions. I don't think they would do that, and I just don't see them it's just I'm trying to think, like, if they were to say, "Well, it might be hard to sell Americans on 0079, but maybe we can start with 08 MS team," that really does seem plausible.
I do think that we can officially put to bed the build fighters thing, like, it's definitely not build fighters.
Oh, dude, I am so glad that you made that connection because you're right. I think with a character like this, they are talking about this is a serious war drama. So
Super, super ethereal.
so, but do you think that okay, yeah, if it's a serious war drama, does that exclude some Gundam properties? Like, does his presence exclude a wing type Gundam, a seed type Gundam? Like, it almost again confirms the '08 MS team rumor.
In a way, it does. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm super stoked. This is really cool news. Like, and you know what? He's another actor too, and I hate to say it like this, but I don't think it's a bad thing. But it's one of those where it's like you know him,
Hmm.
but you might not remember his name. But it's like you just know, like if you see that actor, it's probably going to be a good role.
Right. Well, and
So
it's like Anthony Mackie said years ago when it came to like Marvel pictures, where it was like, you're not going to see the latest Anthony Mackie film, you're going to see the latest Marvel movie.
yeah,
Jason Clarke has always been kind of a character actor. Like he's
yeah,
not somebody that you recognize as Jason Clarke. He's a guy that's like, oh, I remember him in such and he was awesome. And isn't that kind of like what you're looking for in your talent? Is you don't want somebody who
yep,
is going to be recognized as, "Oh, yeah, no, that's Will Ferrell." Like, Will Ferrell is in that movie. It's like, "No,
yeah,
no, I want the person that is recognizable as the character that they played."
yeah. And that reminds me of this other actor. I want to say his name is either William Fichtner or William Fitchner or something like that. Again, you let me look him up then, because then you'll recognize
Yeah,
him.
I was
And
gonna say, let's just have a list of all the actors that you know their faces, but you don't know their names. Oh, yeah, uh,
like
from
such a
from
good
Prison Break.
actor.
He
Yeah.
was freaking awesome on Prison Break as the FBI agent. That's
And I never saw Prison Break.
that's the best part, is it's like you and I both know
He's
what this
good.
guy is good at,
Yeah.
and we've never seen the same movies with him in it.
I know. And that's what's cool. I mean, yeah, he would be great in
Oh, I
Gundam.
forgot he was in Armageddon. He
Yeah,
was
I
the
know.
the NASA
See,
the astronaut.
that's why
What are
I
you doing
really.
with a gun in space, man?
Oh, what's that? Was there
That's
another one?
that's my autism clicking in as I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh, there's that line in Armageddon
Oh.
where the guy's like, 'Oh, what are you doing with a gun in space?'"
No, but again, this kind of goes back to this. I mean, and I know a lot of people like to just be negative because they're bored, but this almost sh- would give people reason to be a little more optimistic.
Oh, I'm stoked on like, this is the best news I've heard all day.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool. So, um,
But speaking of negative just to be negative, like, did you catch that Anime News Network piece on Sydney Sweeney?
okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to talk to you about it because I didn't know anything about it until I saw a tweet of yours. Was it? Yeah, it was like a tweet or a retweet because yeah, you're right. Like it was, and so I didn't understand. Did Anime News Network interview Sydney Sweeney?
No, no, this was an
Okay,
opinion piece that they did on Sydney
opinion.
Sweeney. They were
Just
quoting her
oh,
because in
okay,
recent interviews, she said that she's not a political person, she doesn't like to comment on politics, she doesn't consider herself, like, politically affiliated with anything, and they took that to mean, like, well, how can you be involved with a Gundam project, which Gundam is a heavily political franchise, if you're not a political person?
that's
Which
funny
yeah.
because it would be like, well, it depends. If you're Sayla, you have to side with this, but if you're gonna play, like it almost doesn't make sense to like kind of have that expectation of an actor, like in general too, because when people are skilled in a specific craft, like acting,
Yeah,
how much should you really care about their politics? You actually shouldn't.
no.
And in fact, sometimes you might want to ask someone about their politics, like, you know what, I don't know. Maybe I think this. I don't know. And they're like, oh my God, you think this?
I
Guys, Nazi, Nazi. And it's like, well, I don't think about it. I don't, it's
no, and I think that they're conflating 2 very, different sort of things. So it's like, let's take, for example, Mark Ruffalo. He is a
mhm,
very politically active actor. He's an activist. He,
right.
gets involved with these get out the vote campaigns and stuff like that. He is a political actor. But no one would ever say to him, "Well, you can't play the Incredible Hulk if you're not a political activist." It's not quite the same as saying separate art from artist, but it's that whole like, what does their personal stance have to do with the art that they're making?
Exactly. And in fact, you can see people when they complain where someone's like, "Oh, they're putting their politics in it." Like it's like you can't win. And I feel like when we see pieces like that, it only proves kind of the troubling nature that
Yeah,
is pervasive in reporting, in sort of media reporting, where it's like, "Hey,
100%.
how can I project my insecurities on this person to maybe justify how I feel?" You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was my whole comment on it, my contribution to the discourse, if you will, was, like, Sydney Sweeney's acting credits aside, her stance as a public figure is very smart. Is she doesn't get
Yeah.
entrenched in that stuff. She doesn't say anything stupid that's gonna be held against her. She's like, "Look, I'm not here to make statements or condemn or condone anything. I'm here to act. I'm here to be in movies
Yeah.
and entertain you. And if like my personal feelings shouldn't impact your ability to watch a movie of mine and be entertained by it."
Yeah,
Which
and we've only seen this to be, and I don't know if it is just directly related to social media, but now the fact that everyone can communicate and talk about things, because I just remember watching Starship Troopers, and I can pick up when I was kind of a kid. I was a little older when it came out, but I can kind of pick up that, oh, this is kind of an extreme like military government thing. Like I could pick up on that. And so
yeah.
I'm just watching it for just the fun, knowing that's the world we're in. Not that I'm like, I'm watching this because this is the world I want. I want, it's in, not that we have to keep going down this rabbit hole, but it's just something I read recently that it was about like, oh yeah, we did talk about this about like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, where it started in college campuses, kind of this like
Yeah.
extreme. And then they were just kind of teaching that, which it's on one point, okay, that's kind of good, but it just kind of went too far. And then you have this generation that then has this sort of expectation of entitlement, of opinion and thought. Um,
Well,
yeah.
it's yeah, it's unfortunately like a tribal mentality where we don't focus on the things that we have in common anymore. We focus on the things that are different. And I think you and I have talked about this where it's like if we don't share all of the same opinions in lockstep, it makes you an unreliable friend because just because we agree on this one thing, if I start taking a stance on another thing and you don't share that stance, I can't trust you to always have my back. And it's like, that's not
Yeah, that's
that's a
dangerous.
terrible way to view other people as
Ex-
like this
Yep.
friend enemy distinction type thing, right?
You
Like
could tell, like, that is by default, by human nature, the wrong way to approach someone, and it's
and
just,
it's
yeah.
totally antithetical to anything that Gundam is about because the whole point of
Yes.
Gundam
Is understanding
is
each other.
understanding each other. That's the whole like new type
Dude.
theory is like transcending political differences and compassion between enemies. That's like
That so that would be the perfect reply to that article, was like, "Do you know new type theory?"
right.
Just like ask them from like, just one of those, and then they research it like, "Oh, get along. Okay." Yeah,
Yeah.
so okay. Um, I always like that conversation. I always find it interesting because I do feel like we're getting better at that in certain ways as a society to enjoy art the way it is. Because I do think there's that whole part of the politics part of art and expression is always not that great, especially considering how AI hating is now the sort of thing where it's almost like strengthening corporate cause,
Mhm.
because I mean, so many people hate AI, corporations could quickly be like, "Hey, let's get some regulation in place because all these AI haters will want us to do that," and it's almost like the same thing. And I don't know. I think we were talking about this the other day, like the normies, the psychopath. It's like the normie does this, but sometimes not that they mean to. But the psychopaths are what are taking advantage of that, you know.
It does feel that way sometimes. Like you ever notice like when you're like talking to people that are not quite as dialed into the internet, you're like, "Wait a second, like you almost live in a totally different reality." Like
Yeah.
I'm like the walls are falling down around us. Are you crazy? Like what are you
The biggest thing is when people are like, "Man, everyone's saying this. Everyone is saying that." It's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on. First, maybe you maybe read it once, someone commented, and then it becomes a
Yeah.
whole thing." Okay, real quick, before I forget, I kinda wanted to back up just a second with the Jason Clarke thing because I
Yeah.
also wanted to sort of make an assumption on tone of action considering Jason Clarke. Because, the Planet of the Apes movie he was in, that was to make something fake look incredibly real. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they made the apes look like an ape as you would expect, but to then imbue it with like which again, they're not made by the same studios, but it's almost like him within that environment because you're going to have these mecha
Right.
that are fake, but they have that humanoid thing to them. And that again goes to the 08 MS team. If it's less about like the space stuff and it's more about the ground battles and maybe tease space, I think it's a good way to start off with ground battles. Let's keep it basic. Once we learn what we can do with Gundam, then do the 0079 Amuro versus Char. Um, I don't know.
And you can kind of feel it out with that initial battle in 8th MS team with the ball versus the Zaku.
Yeah, exactly. That's a real good one because it's kind of showing more of
It's
the
sloppy. It's not
yeah,
like it's not as polished
scary.
and refined as like
Right.
a Char's counterattack fight where Amuro and Char are
Getting
zipping around in
around.
their mobile suits. It's
Yep.
like, no, I'm just gonna ram this ball into this mobile suit that
Yeah, you're right because it does a good job of kind of showing off the world building in terms of its sci-fi. Because
yeah.
that beginning really shows, okay, yeah, there is some atmospheric stuff going on. We don't have to be in a full-on colony yet, but here's some stuff going on above the earth. Here's like the ball is a great example of kind of the minimal technology before it escalates to Absolus. Like that would be cool to see live, especially. And here's actually, hold on, 08 MS team runtime because I bet you can make a great 08 MS team movie that has everything by taking out the boring plot that I find annoying, and that's the 2
Bye,
dudes.
Kiki.
No, that's
No,
not what I was talking about.
no.
The and I think you threw shade at me for saying this before, but it's where they get caught. The guy that wants to
Yeah.
have his song on the radio, they
Eleanor.
get like, yeah, there you go. They could
Yeah.
cut that whole thing out.
That was one episode.
There you go. You could save
It's a 5-hour runtime, and you're talking about
oh, okay.
cutting 20 minutes. Come
Yep.
on.
Okay, so yeah, that's okay, that's exactly what I was looking for.
No, I'm just
5 hours. And
5
no,
hours.
yeah, so 5 hours okay. So yeah,
But
if you
that
did
there's a lot that I mean,
yeah,
I
there's a
think I
lot.
think you could cut a 5-hour move I think you could cut a 5-hour series down to a, 90-minute, 2-hour movie. It would probably be like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let's okay, if this were Kalshi and we're taking bets on it, what do you think the runtime of the Gundam live action movie is gonna be?
Wait, if this was what? What'd you say at the beginning?
Kalshi, the app, are you familiar with this?
No?
Okay, don't download it. Chat,
Okay.
do not download the Kalshi app. It is a scam. It's no. The Kalshi is this app that you can, like, bet on stupid stuff like, "Is
No.
it gonna rain tomorrow?" Yeah,
Wow. Is the
but
Gundam movie
here
gonna come out?
yeah, is the Gundam I bet you there's a Gundam movie gonna come out, Kalshi, like, odds tracker. But what do you think the runtime of the movie is gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be 90 minutes? Do you think it's gonna be, like, 2 hours and 50 minutes? Like, do you think it's gonna be closer to 3 hours or closer to 1?
I think it would be closer to 2 hours in general,
Yeah,
especially if they're adapting something. But I do think I do think a movie like this would kind of call for a bit of that bloat, even that I don't like when it comes to these action movies. But
because
because of
Adam would be skipping. He'd be like,
yeah,
I
I know.
skipped
It's
the
like
dialogue. Skip the
cutscene.
dialogue tree. I wanna get to"
But because of the source material, it just makes me think, it would be long. But man, I love your dream scenario that I think is true about the like splitting it up. But again, man, oh, okay, that's what I wanted to talk about. Stardust Memory. What if that is the play? Like, okay, so we got Kuaraki. Am I saying is it Ku or Ko? Ko.
I always said Ko, but
Okay, Ko Araki. Again, a Japanese name might not matter for Noah Centineo. And then Nina Purpleton, played by Sydney Sweeney.
I would
But
be disappointed.
if it
But
was that, well,
it
I
because
guess it depends because
yeah,
Gato wouldn't be played by Jason Clarke. I don't think they would go that direction.
no, no,
But
probably not.
I think what that uh story would do is not only introduce multiple neat Gundams, but it would also bridge like the original and Zeta, because Zeta is the end goal we're all hoping for here. Yeah.
Come on,
Zeta movie.
if we can get Zeta by 2049 before I die, then
What did you use the app to guess when you're, or to bet on when you're going to die? And that's how you've put 2049 already. Uh, um, but and that's the thing with Stardust Memory, because it connects to Zeta, but it's still in that world, and it could start grounded and then end in space, you know. But I don't see where he would fit in unless he was supposed to be what's his name? Burn? What
South Burning.
South Burning. Thank you. Unless he's supposed to play like a South Burning type.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. He because he would be burning, not Synapse. Like Synapse is too old.
But who's the main? Would it be the
Delaz?
Delaz? Yeah. Would it be Delaz?
Would they shave his head?
Right.
That's the real question.
But then I also think, yeah, I don't know. I almost don't think that would be the case in this guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, though, to kind of close our speculation. So let's just say this is an original UC Gundam story. Do you think they would make it take place within the animation, or in terms of, how should I say it? It's like a story that could have happened in the UC canon, or do you think it would take enough liberties to stand on its own? But reference, it would have to have new types.
Oh man, that's tough to say because the problem with a film like this is it's going to put more importance on itself than say something like a 0080 or something like 8th MS Team, where those stories exist and they're almost like self-aware that they are not the main story.
Yeah.
But like, do you trust a major film production to say, I'm not the main story? Like, it's almost like they would just totally rewrite UC canon. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Which I'm very open to if there started to be like a live action continuity.
Yeah.
You know, if so, that's why I'm kind of open to, if they are using, like, let's say this guy is playing Char, but they decided to age him up, and that is the continuity.
Maybe he's Sayla's father instead of
Yeah.
Sayla's
Oh
brother.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's something there, right? Like
I think so. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm so looking forward to that. So here's something else. So when the movie comes out, do you think we're gonna get like, oh, there's someone that's so mad that they keep getting their comment deleted, but they don't want Hollywood anywhere near anime. They have a 20-year track record of screwing up anime live action adaptations. Will Valkyrie Thunderbolt? I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. You know, we'll do what we can, since we are the producers of the Gundam movie.
yeah.
But no. So okay, yeah.
Is there an anime adaptation that you can think of that did well?
So I liked Ghost in the Shell. In my opinion, that has the, and I watched it first before I saw the anime.
Yeah.
And then I saw the anime. I was like, oh shit, this is like the movie. And to be honest, the Cowboy Bebop.
Same. Cowboy Bebop, I think, was trash. But the same people that hate on like most anime adaptations, they loved Alita Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. The One Piece.
I didn't watch one. I
didn't
don't like
either.
pirates. Like,
So I didn't watch it, but my wife did. and that's normally not something so they must have nailed it.
Yeah, I was just
Exactly.
gonna s
I know, but
I need a minute. Like, wait a second. Your wife watched the One Piece anime
no, the
without
live
you?
action.
The live action
Yeah.
without you?
I had no interest. I was in the same room, but I think it was, like, over, like, a few episodes a night until it was done. I just remember it's just I don't know anything about One Piece, so I didn't and it didn't seem like my thing, but they're already working on the season 2,
Yeah,
and
they are.
and so that did well, you know?
And the marketing on that was hilarious because they got a bunch of YouTubers to, like, tweet out stuff like, "Oh, I just started watching One Piece. It's great." And it's like, "What?"
Hold on a second, anime to live action successes. I mean, there has to be. There has to be. Even though I can't think of anything. Okay, One Piece
Yeah.
stuff, Death Note, Alita, you brought that up. Alice in Borderland, no idea.
I watched the Yu Yu Hakusho, live action. That was kinda goofy.
Edge of Tomorrow, but
Is
I think it wasn't that a manga.
I
But
guess
then
so.
Speed Racer, I think that captured the spirit. Um,
Speed Racer was pretty cool. I feel bad that Emil Hirsch was basically done in Hollywood at that point.
yeah.
Well,
Was he
he
the
beat
one
up
that
a reporter, so, like
was yeah. Wasn't he in, like, Wanted or something like no, it wasn't Wanted, it was, there was an
uh,
action movie during that time. Let me look that up because
Emil Hirsch, he was in that, Into the Wild that was based on a book.
oh, okay. So, yeah, don't yeah, maybe I am thinking of someone else completely because I do not recognize anything. Speed Racer, yeah.
There you
But
go.
okay, well, um, anyway, real
Sorry, I
quick.
didn't mean to derail the conversation
Oh,
talking
no.
about, like, whether or not anime works in movies.
No, this is the perfect thing to do when we've run out of things to talk about, and then we're just, you know no, but really, so here's the thing. There's these live action movies that come out in Japan and people don't see them here. And I think
Right.
that's one thing people gotta like remember, even if you don't want to believe it, but like Sunrise or Bandai Filmworks is still like in charge of this.
Listen, Dragon Ball Evolution was perfect, and anyone who says otherwise can go eat crow. Okay?
Okay. Okay. You want to hear something funny? I don't know if you remember this. Early on when I made the channel, I was like, guys, I'm gonna do a reaction. I'll do like a review of the Dragon Ball movie. I thought it's anime adjacent. Let's see. I couldn't get through the first 10
It's
minutes.
so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, I was surprised. It's like they just thought, guys, just call it whatever. Throw a shirt on that dude. He looks like an anime character.
It's orange. You put some glue in his hair, make it stick up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So one last thing, I guess, before we go, just again speaking of the movie, the other thing that I would be accepting of, there are some, and I think Christopher Lee is a good example. You brought him up earlier, or even like what's another actor where they're really good, but they could be in a film that is over the top
Yeah.
cheesy. Because like, what if there was a Gundam movie that was filmed more, and yeah, Americans wouldn't accept it, but it was filmed more like they do the Godzilla movies in the 2000s,
I
where
would love that. I would love that. And
yeah,
honestly, what's ironic about that is that Christopher Lee, RIP, man, he was absolute legend.
yeah,
But he would have done that. And,
yeah,
like,
and
I
he
don't know
would
if
have
you've
pulled
ever
it off.
seen interviews with him where, like, they asked him about Star Wars, like, "Oh, what's it like acting on a green screen and you don't see the background?" And he's like, "Well, I've been on sets where I'm acting with people who don't know what they're doing, and so I have to pretend like they're there and they're not. So it's really no different to me." Like, it's
I love
like,
that.
I love British sass, like, more than anything in life. And
Yeah,
so, like, an actor with that type of, like you said, pedigree
yeah,
that doesn't take themselves too seriously, that is willing to, like, "Hey, I'm gonna slum it and make an anime movie,"
yeah.
but they're gonna put everything that they possibly can into it. Like,
Well, it was like
oh,
Alec Guinness.
Alec
Also,
Guinness. Oh,
is he was saying that he didn't
absolutely.
understand any of the dialogue. He's all like, "Just give me a percentage of the movie of what it makes," and it worked out for him. I and I think that helps sometimes because I feel like sometimes action, like seeing a giant robot, that's hard to make realistic. So maybe that is goofy and over the top, but then you have those actors that have that. Like, think
Yeah.
if you have Patrick Stewart as a Xeon officer that's like yelling at everybody, that would be like, oh,
You know, if this movie came out 30 years ago, I would wanna see somebody like Peter Weller in it because Peter Weller famously,
oh
like,
yeah,
RoboCop was Paul Verhoeven was just kind of, like, having fun with it. He was like, "I'm
right.
making this a satire, I'm poking fun at the script, like, I think this is stupid." Peter Weller delivered in that
Yep.
movie. He was like, "I'm gonna method act it. I don't want anyone to call me Peter on set. I'm either Robo or Murphy. That's it. You don't call me anything
Oh,
other than Robo or Murphy."
dude,
And
if I was an actor in a movie, if I was Batman, I would be like, please, everyone, just call me Bruce Wayne and Batman while we're this is my
and
dream
then
come
he's, like,
true.
working with mime coaches, like, how would a robot move? Like,
See,
should I
that is the right thing because it might seem like that's cheesy or corny, but you're really adding more of that world. Again, it's that world building. It's like, oh,
exactly.
this
The
is real.
verisimilitude, it makes the
Verisimilitude.
world bought into. It's the exact opposite of James Gunn, where
Oh
James
yeah,
Gunn likes to just poke fun at the world that he's in, is
yeah,
like, "Isn't
true.
this so silly that we're superheroes? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we're heroes." Or
Oh, almost like I like the vision of oh oh my god, I can't think of his name. The dude in The Boys, the main bad
oh,
guy.
Anthony Starr,
Yeah,
Homelander? Yeah.
because that costume is so like over the top cheesy superhero, but like it's very dark material, but they're still all wearing these superhero costumes. Like I that is like really cool.
It's very good.
Anyway, what a fun show today, just speculating on the Gundam movie. If it's not games, it's the Gundam movie. And so I guess
This
next week
movie cannot come out soon enough.
I know. I know. I can't wait for that trailer so I can do a reaction and get tons of views. Like I'm feeling like that's gonna happen. So all right, guys, we're gonna head out. That was a lot of fun. We'll be back next week with some more. Also, check out Midnight Hatter's channel. There is a video, a very interesting Witch from
Believe it
Mercury.
or not, there's a video out.
Yeah, exactly. And this doesn't happen too often. So get it
No.
before the internet deletes it. You know how it is. But all right, man. Steven, guys, we'll all talk later. Have a good one.